I'm your host, Julianne Kirkland, and I am so excited you're here with me today. We're going to talk about money. Why? Because we should. Okay? We should talk about money because there tends to be this stigma around being a Christian and working for money, being excited about money, loving money, right? Now I'm not saying that we love money over God. We don't do that. That's a for sure right there. But it's okay to love making money. I do. I love working in my calling. I love that that is bringing money in, that is allowing me to expand my reach, right? Because I have money, I am able to go places I never would have been, to talk to people I never would have talked to, right? Money is a tool, it is a resource. It allows for more opportunities. Money is not bad. Loving money over God, that's where we get into trouble, my friends. That's where we get into trouble. So let me give you a little background story. When I was growing up, I went to an elite private school, and I was there because my mom was a teacher. And so I got in for a discount. And I was surrounded with girls who never wore the same outfit twice. And there I was, 11 years old, in that like weird middle school stage, anyway. It's already an uncomfortable stage. And I was wearing my brother's hand-me-down jeans because my sister, who's older than me, is shorter than me. So I couldn't wear her hand-me-downs. And I had hit a growth spurt and I had to have new jeans, but it wasn't in our budget yet. And so that's what I was left with, my brother's hand-me-down jeans. Now, looking back, I can see where my issues with money started to come in. I started creating a lot of limiting beliefs, negative thoughts around money. I didn't like money. I didn't like the way it made me feel. I didn't like that it made me feel like I wasn't good enough because I didn't have it, right? Money had brought about, or the lack of money had brought about all these negative thoughts and feelings in my life. And as I got older and went out on my own and started working and doing all the adult things, I was confused as to why I wasn't making more money. And then it dawned on me that, oh, how in the world am I supposed to attract something that I don't like? Right? I'm not talking law of attraction here, people. Okay. I'm talking about what we believe we live out every single time. And I had a horrible belief system around money. It was bad. Every time I went to a friend's house, I would I would look at their house. I would look at their house and think, "Oh my gosh, it's so much better than mine. It's so much bigger than mine. They have all these things. They can do whatever they want. They can go on all these vacations. They can, I just thought that money was status and power and beauty. And even though money can be used for all of those things, money can also be used for good. Like I was saying earlier, having money allows you to have more opportunities. It allows you to have more resources available to you. It allows you to reach further than you could reach on your own. And so when I was able to flip the script on how I thought about money, I was able to really embrace my calling. And God worked on me and continues to work on me, because let me tell you something about a belief system. When we believe something for so long, that is in our DNA, right? Like it's way down deep in there. Okay. It's like in our code. And that energy doesn't go away. we have to replace it with something until that's gone, that negative is gone. Okay, let me give you an example. So I was in Florida 2 summers ago, and for our family vacation, and they're all 8 of us are there. We're in Matt's suburban like type big car. I think it was a Yukon, and we were packed. I'm packed full, ready to go home. Right, our suitcases. We're all in there. Like there's no room for anything. Matt has this little tiny square through all the luggage in the very back of the car so that he can see out the rearview mirror. Okay, like that's how packed we were. And then all 8 of us are in this car. Okay, like no elbow room. We're stuck. We're shoved in there. And we get in there. He cranks on the air, and we're like, oh, it stinks. Our car stinks. Like it smells real bad. And he's like, maybe it's because we were parked next to the trash can and, we had seafood the night before and then it kind of sat in the sun. Maybe that's why it stinks. Like maybe it just kind of absorbed that odor. And we're like, oh, okay. So we decide to get on the road, and we get an hour from the condo that we were staying in, and we have to pull over. Like the smell is getting so bad. We have all the windows down, we have the air blasting, and we're like, this is terrible. It smells like death. Like it's death. It smelled awful. And so we pull over into like this Ace Hardware place, and he's like, okay, I'm going to go in and I'm going to buy a new air filter because again, maybe the trash stank odor got in and like penetrated the filter. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to buy a new filter and we'll just replace it and then we'll get going. Okay. All right. We'll give that a try. So meanwhile, while he's in there doing that, I have Lysol wipes and I'm Lysoling everything in the car, right? I'm just wiping everything down because I'm like, something died in my car. I'm wiping it down to get rid of this odor, right? And I'm looking to see if like, did food get left in here? Did somebody's drink cup, like what? It was awful. Something was dead. We couldn't find anything, and we weren't about to totally unpack the car. And so when Matt came back out, I said, hey, why don't you look under the car too to see if we ran over something or, something crawled up in under our car and died. And that's what we're smelling. Okay. He changed the air filter. He looked under the car. He popped the hood. Nothing. We could see nothing dead. So we're like, okay, maybe that will do it. So we hit the road again, pumping the air. We're like, oh, it's worse. We're like, how in the world is it worse? So we figured out through trial and error that it was when the back air, the rear air was pumping that we could smell it even more. So we turned that off. We still rolled down the windows about halfway, and then we had the front air blasting. And we rode like that, nauseous from the putrid odor for 8 hours to get home. Okay. 8 hours in stink. It was bad. So we get home. It's nighttime by this time. We get all the kids in, try and unwire them because they've been sitting in a stinky car all day. Everybody's been complaining. Everybody has headaches. Get everybody settled. Tell everybody to first take shower because we stink. And then we got settled. I got them to bed and I went back outside to help Matt. We had unpacked the car and he was in the back of his car taking apart the side paneling of the inside of the car. Like he was bound and determined to find where that stink was coming from. And so he had pulled apart the whole side panel of his car, had his flashlight, had this like long pokey thing looking around. And those mirrors that the dentists use that like they put in your mouth through the stick and it has a little circle mirror? He had one of those, but for a car. So he was like shoving that down through the air vent. And sure enough, he found something dead. It was a gross, decaying little mouse. It was awful. And we realized that thing must have crawled up in there when we were packing the car originally to leave to go to Florida because it was in the like liquefy state. It was disgusting. Y'all, it was terrible. It was the worst smell. So he was able to get down in there enough with his little pokey thing to get the dead decaying mouse out. Okay. And then we Lysoled it, we wiped all that out. We let the car air out that night. Okay. We left the back paneling off, we let the car air out that night. Um, and we did the Febreze stuff in, like we did everything we could think of to help de-smell our car. Okay. So the next day he went and he got it professionally cleaned. He was like, I'm getting this cleaned. Um, he works in the tire automotive business. He owns a tire automotive business. And he was like, we have professional cleaners that, like, this is the stuff they use for like dead body smell, right? Like this stuff is legit. So we're like, yes, okay, that'll work. Comes back, it still stinks. We're like, what is happening? The source of the odor, the mouse, is gone. Why do we still smell it? So he bought 3 cans of this foam that you're supposed to spray down in there, and it goes in and expands to fill the space. And then it liquefies and drains out. So 1 can is supposed to do it all. It took 3. It took 3 cans of this expanding, odor eliminating foam to get rid of the mouse smell. And 2 days later, I was riding in his car again, and it got hot. I mean, it's hot outside. And I was like, I can still smell it. And he goes, no, you can't. You can't smell it. I can't smell it. And I said, I can't smell it consistently, but every now and then I get a whiff of it. I can smell it. And he was like, oh, I don't know what else to do. And I was like, we've got to keep putting in good smell. You know, we have to continue to maybe once a week do one of those cans, or do Febreze, or wipe it down, something. We have to continue to put it in, or every now and then we're going to get a whiff of that bad odor, right? And that story reminds me of exactly what happens with our old belief systems. Okay. You might get to the point where you recognize the belief system you currently have is toxic, right? It's like the dead mouse. It's just causing stank in your life. So you might be to that awareness. You might even be to the awareness of, I need to get this out of here, right? You might work with somebody to help you get that out of there, right? That old belief system, that stanky mouse. But then you can't stop there. You have to intentionally and actively continue to work on putting good stuff in to replace that old belief system. Because otherwise, it's going to continue to waft its odor. You will catch glimpses of it every now and then. Not when you're feeling good and healthy and your mind is all right and you're on a good run, right? Those aren't typically the times those old belief systems come rearing back. But you reach a moment where you're feeling insecure, where you're doubting yourself, where you're frustrated, where you're overwhelmed, right? Those are the times when that old belief system shows up again and says, oh, hey, remember me? Let's think about this for a while. And we can kind of spiral down into this pit of confusion and unbelief. And it's a discouraging, toxic environment to be in. And that's where my old money mindset was. It was a pit. It was a pit of a despair. It was off. It was stinky. It was bad. And I didn't just go take a course. I didn't just listen to a podcast. I didn't just work with one coach, right? I consistently have to pour in the right frame of mind, those right thoughts about money to replace that old belief system. And as time went on, it became more and more natural. I didn't have to work so hard, right? I was able I was able to recognize those old thought patterns a lot quicker. And so instead of reacting, I was able to think and respond. Okay? Because like I said on the last episode, our thoughts create our feelings, and our feelings drive us to action. And our action is what's going to produce the results that we want. Okay? So if there's a result that you want around money, you need to back it up and say, what actions do I need to take to be making the money? What feelings do I need to be feeling in order to take the action? And what thoughts do I need to be thinking in order to have the feeling? Okay? And one of the greatest thought patterns that I developed around money is that wealth and abundance is the currency of the kingdom. It is. Okay? We're told in Genesis 2:12 that the gold of the land is good. It's when God had just finished describing Eden, right? It's his garden, it's this protected place. And he tells us there's gold in the land. And he tells us that it is good. Gold is mentioned in the first book of the Bible 8 times. Okay? 8 stands for abundance. The number 8 stands for abundance. Okay? And when you flip 8 on its side, you get the infinity symbol. You are God's daughter. You are the chosen daughter of the King of Kings. Of course, wealth is for you, right? Wealth and abundance is the currency of the kingdom. God didn't have to tell us in Genesis that there was gold in the land and it was good. They weren't buying anything yet. That wasn't happening. He said the gold in the land was good because wealth and abundance is God's provision for your life. And once I really allowed that to settle in, I was able to start changing my habits, right? Once you're able to really start changing the way you think, being more intentional about your thoughts, then those feelings start to change. And when your feelings start to change, those habits start to change, right? Those actions that you're taking. And then you're able to start producing the results that you want. That's the law of attraction that I'm talking about, right? I have to think about it, but it's not like I think about it and it happens. You know, I have some issue when people talk about the law of attraction that way. It's like, oh, you just think about it and you want it and it'll come to you. It's not been my experience. Maybe some people, but not me, not most people I know. No, you have to be intentional about it. You have to show up. You have to think about what you're thinking about. Okay? Because money, wealth, abundance, that's God's provision for your life. You are the daughter of a king. And wealth and abundance is the currency of the kingdom. And it's yours to claim through faith. And to me, there is so much freedom in that. It's like, okay, it gives me fuel to keep going, to know that I'm not just building worldly, carnal possessions, right? This money is to really make an impact on this world. It's God's provision for my life. And I'm going to use it to impact others. I'm going to use it to advance the kingdom. And that's how I'm able to add value to others. And I want to encourage you that if you got squirmy when I first started talking about money, because you've been from a place of lack, I've been there too. You're not alone in that. And although it's not easy, it's possible to get out of that. But again, it takes time and intention and a willingness and discipline. Oh, does it take discipline? Because there's going to be times where your motivation's not there, your inspiration's not there. There's going to be something that doesn't work. You're going to try something and it's not going to work. And you're going to get discouraged. And that's when that stinky mouse starts to reappear, that old belief system telling you, see, money's not for us. We haven't been able to do this. And you have to recognize it. And you have to flip that script. And it takes a while at first. It's not easy at first. You know, I went from having these really good periods of time, and then something would happen, and I would get discouraged, and I would fall down into that pit of unbelief, and I would be listening to all those lies of, oh, this isn't for me. I'm not worthy of this. I'm not good enough, right? I would listen to that, and I would spend sometimes weeks in that pit. But now, does it still affect me? Yeah, sure it does. And I still go down into the pit, but I don't go as far and I get out of it quicker. Okay? And that's so important to recognize, is that understanding how all this works. It doesn't make you immune to being in this world, to being in disappointment, to being in frustration, right? We live in the world, but we're not of the world. And that's our superpower. That's what gives us the strength to keep going. That's what's going to give you the strength to recognize that you're in the pit. You know, eyes to see, ears to hear. You can ask for that. You were created in God's image. And his character is in you. That's how you identify yourself. You are the daughter of the King. Don't forget that. And it'll help you get out of those pits a lot quicker. Okay? Remember this as I'm closing for today. You are God's daughter. You are the chosen daughter of the King of Kings. Wealth is for you. Wealth and abundance is the currency of the kingdom. I hope you have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you soon. You can come join me in my private Facebook group, Inspired Life. I would love to have you come over on my podcast. It's called Next Level Faith. And we go deep into all these kind of principles and really how to reach the best version of you by starting your next level of faith. All right, y'all have a good day. Talk soon.